Today we're heading to my favorite park at Walt Disney World, Animal Kingdom, and we're going to talk about a one-day itinerary for a family traveling with kids. So if it's your first time going to Walt Disney World, you're wondering, do I skip Animal Kingdom? What do I do to make the most of my day? Even if you're only going for a half day, which sadly I know a lot of you do for Animal Kingdom. We're going to talk about the best way to maximize your experience at Disney's Animal Kingdom. I've taken my kids there countless times. I've helped a ton of clients book Disney's Animal Kingdom. And like the biggest thing, Chip, I think people always go to Animal Kingdom for like a half a day, or their initial question is, I've heard it's just a zoo. Maybe I should skip it if they're on a shorter trip. Chip, I feel like you and I might have a different opinion about this. Do you guys skip Animal Kingdom?
Um, if we're there only 3 days, that's our skip part. If we're there longer and we got 4 day tickets, we're gonna go to Animal Kingdom. Um, and what's crazy is we don't skip it because of it being a zoo. We skip it because it just doesn't have enough attractions in our like wheelhouse.
And I think that that's the thing about Animal Kingdom that I love is that it's not all about the attractions. To really maximize your day there, you're planning food, you're planning experiences, you're planning a few attractions, and you're really trying to find other things that you don't typically get at a theme park, which is part of why I love it. Like, there's no other theme park where you're going to go and see a baby tiger right after riding a roller coaster, right? Like, and I think that that's what is such a unique experience. Like, the theming is so good for kids. There are awesome shows. There are different experiences and encounters with the animals. So we'll talk about a lot of that stuff. But I think the gist from the beginning is like you have to take your mindset out of like Magic Kingdom or Hollywood Studios to really get into the mind of enjoying and maximizing Animal Kingdom because it's
Sure.
not just a zoo, but it's also not just a theme park. It's a little bit of both, which is part of the reason why I love it. I would tell you, like, the majority of calls that I get from clients are like, oh, we're thinking about skipping it. What do you think about that park? And then I tell them it's my favorite park, and they immediately like, like it's not the answer that they typically expect when they bring that kind of subject up. So the first thing we're going to talk about is rope drop strategy at Disney's Animal Kingdom. Chip, I know you're a rope dropper. When we're going to Animal Kingdom, I love rope dropping because there are, unfortunately, a lot of times we go on shorter trips where we only have 4 park days. And I do want to maximize Animal Kingdom for like a half to 3/4 of a day. And then we'll do like a nighttime show at Magic Kingdom or Hollywood Studios. So, rope drop strategy, I think, is really, really important to talk about here. What is your
Yeah.
focus? I guess most people combine it with Lightning Lane Multipass because Lightning Lane Multipass for Animal Kingdom is much more affordable. It's usually only like $15 per person, and there aren't tiers, so you can get the individual Lightning Lane for Flight of Passage, or you can get Multipass, or you can do both. A lot of times we'll do both. What is your thought process of combining Lightning Lane Multipass, Lightning Lane individual, Lightning Lane for Flight of Passage, and then rope drop strategy combined with that?
So we are rope droppers, and we always rope drop Animal Kingdom. We are going to go to Flight of Passage right off the rip.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and when they're in line for it, we are. I'm too big to ride it. Like it just I can't fit in it very well. So I'll take the littles and we'll go ride Navi River Journey. I rode it 4 times last time, and they didn't even make me walk through the queue. They just said, "Hey, just go back here," because the getting on and getting off are right next to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we'll do that right away, and we will save our lightning lane for we want to try and get the earliest safari, because a lot of the animals are nocturnal. So we try and get the earliest safari, and then we'll go over to Everest right away too to try and get that out of the way as well.
Yeah, so I think like that's the best strategy, right? Is you're either, in my opinion, if you're buying Lightning Lane Multipass, you're typically considering skipping individual Lightning Lane on Flight of Passage, and then everybody goes either to Flight of Passage or to the Safari for rope drop. That's typically, the way things happen at Animal Kingdom. So you are either going to do multipass and you can book the first safari that you can, and then you go to the other one, Flight of Passage for rope drop, and you save your money. Sometimes people buy it anyway and they'll rope drop it also. Like you get to ride it twice, and it's worth it, in my opinion. But
Hey, my
otherwise,
wife will agree with you there. Yeah, my wife
yeah,
Kelly would say it's one of the best rides.
there's a lot of people that think that Flight of Passage is one of the best rides, at least like top five at Walt Disney World. I don't personally feel that way, but it's honestly it's just because I have a bias against Avatar. Like that whole area just doesn't do it for me the same way that it does for other people. Again, it's still my favorite park, but like, and it's a great ride. It's just it doesn't hit for me the same way. But a lot of people really love that attraction, and so you're either making your decision of are we going to rope drop the safari or are we going to rope drop Flight of Passage? For me, I'm rope dropping coffee. Um, so there you can go to Kusafiri and you can get a really good cold brew coffee there. There's a lot of really good snack areas for breakfast that have good breakfast sandwiches and stuff. All of it's got a
Dude,
little bit of an African twist, right? But
the like the McGriddle thing they have is it's got like guava jam in it, and
yeah,
like it's phenomenal. It's like a
that's
pancake, a loaded pancake. It's so good.
That's at Kusafiri, I think, also, and I could be pronouncing that wrong. So if I am, I apologize. But I have plenty of pictures of myself in front of that spot, just sitting there having a coffee. But so basically, when you're picking your Lightning Lane multipass selections, you're always going to pick. You're going to pick Safari first, always. You're going to pick Everest, typically, and then you're either going to pick Dinosaur, Cali River Rapids, or Navi River Journey. And it's really not necessary for you to pick one of the Lightning Lane multipass selections for one of the shows. Maybe at the beginning of the new Zootopia show, it might be busy enough to justify that, but I doubt it. But usually people are like, "Oh, should I pick the Lion King show?" Like, you don't need Lightning Lane multipass for any of the shows. That it's just a waste of a selection. So you're gonna pick whichever ones of those you want to ride the most, and usually at Animal Kingdom, you're gonna have enough time to get everything that you want if you have multipass. So once you scan into the Safari, if you're riding that first, then you can make your next selection, and you're gonna be able to get all the rides done that are there. Because again, as Chip pointed out, right now there's not as many attractions. Dinosaur's still open. The Boneyard is closed. The Triceratops Spin is closed. So there's some things that are down. We're going to have Indiana Jones. We're going to have the Encanto attraction. So there's a lot of things being built there that are fantastic. But the one thing that I think people sleep on in terms of attractions and things like that is there's a lot of really good character meets at Animal Kingdom, and
Yeah,
there's a really good character meal. So as a little bit of a segue, Chip, what are some of your favorite character meets that people can find at Animal Kingdom?
I like two. There's two I love. I love Kevin the Bird.
Yeah. And
Just
Kevin the
roaming
Bird, to
around.
be fair,
I'm a big.
is roaming. So he doesn't have a specific spot. He's going to be roaming throughout the park.
Well, that this my other one's roaming too. I love Divine. I love trying to
Mm.
find her up in the. But you can meet. I mean,
Well,
if we're gonna go the meal,
before you go further, explain to people that don't know what Divine is.
it is a. It's a. I believe a female that looks like Poison Ivy from the old Batman movie, but she's
Hmm.
on stilts most of the time and hiding and camouflaging. And sometimes you'll walk by and not even realize she's 5 feet from you, but the cast member, that's kind of standing there will realize it. And they don't let you go up and like take a picture with her, but you can take a selfie with her a little bit. But um, it, she's everywhere. It's crazy. I've seen her in Africa. I've seen her at the front of the park. Um,
And
she
she
goes
blends
everywhere.
in so well. It's like when you go to those like street corners, like in Chicago or New York, and there's like a guy that's like painted like a statue, right? She's painted
Yeah.
like a tree, and so you can't see her at all, and she's up on stilts. A lot of times when I notice her, it's purely because other people are taking pictures of her. So I'm like, I'll look and I'll be like, why are they taking pictures of that bush? And there's Divine. She's in the bushes or whatever. But aside from those two, what other characters do you like to do at Animal Kingdom?
I think one of the unique two that I like are, and my wife's like, I don't get it why you like it, but Doug and Russell
Mm.
from Up, which obviously leans towards my Kevin the Bird. And then I love meeting Chip and Dale. And I don't know where you can meet them right now, obviously with Dinosaur, that area
Yeah,
kind
they're
of going
still in the
down.
area. They're still in the area, and it's still available. I mean, my guess is that eventually that character meet's going to be gone completely at least, in terms of their outfits. So Chip and Dale will wear their little dinosaur outfits. Chip and I met them together, which was a lot of fun. And they're in the dinosaur area, and it's just a really cute outfit that Chip and Dale have on, where they're dressed like dinosaurs for Halloween or
Well,
whatever.
and
Um,
there's a few right there because I believe we saw Donald around the corner
and
and
Daisy's there
somebody
also.
Daisies. Yeah, I was gonna say
Mhm.
there were four characters. I always forget about that.
Yeah, and that's it's like a nice little area. It's shaded, which you can get out of the heat. But there is a lot of construction going on in that area right now. The other great one, you can meet Mickey and Minnie in their safari outfits. Pocahontas is one that is usually there that is not someone that you get to see in any of the other parks. And then now they're going to have Judy and Nick from Zootopia are going to be meeting at Disney's Animal Kingdom, which is going to be a lot of fun. And I think that that one's going to be really popular. You can also meet Rafiki back near Rafiki's
I know
conservation
what.
station, which is a train ride away and has like a petting zoo and a lot of really cool stuff. There's an animation station there where you can go and actually learn from a Disney artist, and they'll draw a character of the session. And they'll teach you, you and your kids how to draw one of the Disney animated characters. And I mean, to me, those are the kinds of experiences that people don't even realize are there, and they just completely skip at Animal Kingdom. So like you can
Yeah.
ride the train over, you can take your little ones to the petting zoo, you can hang out in the air conditioning and do a drawing class with a professional animator, which is like, how often do you get a chance to do that kind of thing? Is it like what you
Yeah.
necessarily go to Disney for? No, but it's a really unique experience for your family and your kids, in my opinion, that I think's a lot of
It
fun. And there's characters over
it
there
all
too.
every time I think about it, you know what it reminds me of is the episode of Full House when they're at Disney and Joey goes and draws his character. So
Yeah,
that's what I
exactly. I
always think
mean,
of. Yeah.
it's just like, to me, that's like a good hour of a really great family experience that you guys get to have. That's very chill, very low key, and it doesn't cost you more money. It comes with your park ticket. So, then there's different things like the macaws, right? There's the bird show that you can watch, and like the when they fly into the Tree of Life near the center of the park. Like it is a really, really unique experience that I would recommend for anybody. And then on top of that, you've got all these other different areas that you can explore that don't involve attractions, right? There's a lot of
Yeah.
great attractions that we've already talked about with our Lightning Lane Multipass discussion, a lot of great characters. And then you start getting into like, what are other areas that you can just explore and see different things? There's the Tiger Trail where you can go and see Baby Bosco, the new baby tiger, which, it takes some time and you can go and watch the tigers play. There's obviously the safari where you get to see a majority of the animals, but there's also there's a gorilla trail that you can go on and see different animals. And then by the Tree of Life, there's all kinds of different waterfall trails and things that you can explore, where like if you want to get family photos, or photos of your kids, there's a really, really good opportunities there because nobody explores those paths.
No.
Like outside of the people that listen to this podcast and, people that are there kind of frequently, a lot of people aren't exploring those different trails around the Tree of Life that are really cool and fun to just hang out for a little bit. You can see different animals that are around there also, like a lot of different birds, um, fish and wildlife and things like that. But it gives you
Well,
some really cool views of the Tree of Life where there's all the different carvings of the different animals, and you can go and explore that area. And to me, I love kind of just getting lost there. I've told this story before, Chip. Like one of the trips I went on recently that I was by myself, I went to Epic Universe, and
yeah.
then I decided, all right, I can't like not set foot on Disney property. So I went to the Epic Universe preview, and my checkout day, my flight back was at like 2 p.m. or 1 p.m. or something like that. So I take my bags, and I may have told you this story before, but I'm going to tell it again anyway. So I take my bags and I make a reservation at Boma for breakfast for myself. So I take an Uber from Universal over to Animal Kingdom Lodge. I have a great breakfast at Boma. It was like a Tuesday or something, so I needed to get some work done. I sit on the patio out there and I'm looking at the savannah. watching the giraffes while I'm working and answering emails. Like, how cool is that? Right. And so then I leave my
Yeah.
bags at guest services because I've got like 3 hours. And I'm like, I'm going to go and explore Animal Kingdom for a little bit, get some coffee, get some, get some snacks and kind of hang out. So I go over there, I do the safari, I get a coffee, and I'm just kind of wandering around watching the music and stuff. I suddenly realize my phone is dead, right? My phone is completely dead, and I am late for my flight. Like because I have to get back to Animal Kingdom Lodge to get my bag and then get an Uber to the airport. And I am like, it's basically I'm at the back of Animal Kingdom, and it's the time that I need to be leaving Animal Kingdom Lodge. And I do a full sprint straight out of Animal Kingdom, and then you have to take a bus right back. And so I get on the bus. Luckily, it comes quickly, and I'm like panicking, like I'm gonna miss my flight. My wife is gonna be completely over the moon, irritated. And I take the bus, and I forget that the first bus stop when you go back is Jumbo House, which is like 10 minutes north of the actual Animal Kingdom Lodge. Or I'm sorry, it was Kidani. And Jumbo House is the main area where I left my bags, right? So it goes up to Kidani first at the DVC Village. And I get off there and I go into the lobby and I'm like, wait, this looks small. And I realize I'm at Kidani and not Jumbo. And I'm like, if I have to run, it's literally going to take me another 10 minutes to get my bags. Luckily, the bus hadn't left. So I took the bus back to Jumbo House, as the next stop,
Yeah.
get off. And luckily, I made it to the airport with like 10 minutes before boarding. But like my group had, before boarding closed, but like my group was long gone. I'm in like C at this point on Southwest. It was like a ridiculous experience. But the point is, like, you can go into Animal Kingdom and you can just kind of get lost in it for a while because you're
Yeah.
watching the live entertainers, you're exploring, and you're just kind of hanging out. And that doesn't really happen, in my opinion, at the other theme parks.
Well,
And so,
I think their shows are. I mean, they're better. They're probably the best shows that are on property. I mean, you have Big Blue World, which is
mhm.
a Finding Nemo, and then you have the Lion King show, and they are like watch on YouTube any day of the week to get you fired up. That they're that good. Like it's phenomenal.
I don't think it's a hot take, but I think that the Lion King show is probably the best show on property.
It is.
It's a Broadway
It's not
level show.
close. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it might come close when they do the What's This special show at Animal Kingdom, or I mean at Hollywood Studios during Jollywood Nights. Like that show is pretty insane. But outside of that, I think that it's easily the best show at Walt Disney World, and I don't think it's particularly close. That's a must see attraction.
It's one of those that if you've never seen Lion King on Broadway, it's not that good, but it's like, all right, I get it. It's because
Mhm.
I've seen Lion King on Broadway. I'm excited to hopefully see it on the Destiny in the near future. But at Animal Kingdom, it's so good. It's such a
Yeah,
good show.
it's to me it's definitely one of the things that you have to prioritize when you're going there because you have to at least see it once, and it's worth every penny. So let's talk about the dining. And when I say every penny, that means for your park ticket. It doesn't have an extra cost or
No,
anything like that for anybody listening. So we talked about characters to prioritize. We've talked about rides to prioritize. We've also gone through how to do your individual lightning lane, your multi-pass, and your rope drop strategy. So let's talk a little bit now about. Well, I guess I should mention there's really no nighttime show. They have they usually close too early for there to be a nighttime show. There
and
is a
that's
Tree of Life celebration that they do like um a light thing, a light projection show on the Tree of Life that runs continuously every 15 minutes once it gets dark enough. But unfortunately, a lot of times the park closes at like 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. So it's not really like late enough for you to stay for a traditional nighttime show or anything like that.
and that's my one knock is that because Avatar Land would be so awesome at night.
Yeah.
Like just the
And
color. I've seen it. I've seen it a couple times, and when I've stayed at Animal Kingdom Lodge, you drive by, you can see all the colors, but it's so beautiful at night that it just needs to be open more.
Yeah, I that's definitely the knock, and I've complained about it on social media before. You have to make sure you're paying attention to the park hours when you're going to Animal Kingdom, and it's because like they can vary so widely. One night you might get lucky and it's open till 8 or 9 p.m. The other night it might be 6 p.m. and it can vary like that widely during your 1 week vacation. So it can
Yeah,
change the way that you prioritize which day you're going to go to that park if you want to get the most hours that you can there. But to Chip's point, like Pandora, the Avatar area is insane because they've got all kinds of glow in the dark stuff all over the trees and the ground and the rocks. And they've got all these different blues and purples and all this different light, and it's gorgeous, but you don't get to experience it that frequently because it's just not open that late. So to me, that's a frustrating point. And I've always like argued that that park should be open later. For those that are not aware, they close it usually early because the animals, is my understanding. But and that's obviously why they don't do fireworks or anything like that at that park. But they used to have a kite tails show, and so there's different opportunities that they could do different nighttime things. We've always wondered if they would do a drone show or something like that. But I think at least since Disney Springs, that's all kind of been scrapped at this point. But you really don't want to plan on nighttime or evening plans at Animal Kingdom on that day. You can either, if you have Park Hopper, you can go over to Phantasmic or Happily Ever After that night, which is what my family does a lot. Like that to me is like a great
yeah.
day where, we're going to Magic Kingdom for the fireworks and doing a late night that night, but it's because we're staying at Animal Kingdom until like 4 or 3, and we're going back to the resort for an hour or two for dinner. We'll eat at the resort or something like that, and then we're going over to Magic Kingdom just for a couple hours to watch the fireworks, and it makes a really great end cap to the evening. You can absolutely make your entire day work at Animal Kingdom, and then you can have an early night if you don't have park hopper, which I think is what a lot of families do, right? They're back at the resort for a nighttime swim at 7 p.m. or something like that, or they go over to Disney Springs for dinner. I think is a great combo also. But Chip, let's talk a little bit about dining because you and
Yeah,
I both love to eat. And
yeah, that's true.
we've talked to Matt Richardson. There's so much great food at Animal Kingdom that it's it's really hard to like pick a place to eat because to me like all of it is good as long as you avoid like Pizzafari. Like all the other food is fantastic. What kind of meals or snacks are you prioritizing when you go to Animal Kingdom?
So there's two restaurants really we love, and you and I've had the pleasure of eating at the one a couple of times. That's Flame Tree Barbecue. That's our quick service. It's just it's simple. They have good food. It's phenomenal food. It's great for my kids. It's not too out of the ordinary. I mean, they like pulled pork. They like ribs. They like mac and cheese. Um, and then the other one is I don't know, man. Might be the best buffet, character buffet. I'll go character buffet is how I would say it. I wouldn't say character meal, character buffet, and that's Tusker House.
To me, it's a top three character meal. Period. I think
Yeah,
it's solidified my point as number three. When people ask me what's the best character meal at Walt Disney World, number one is Topolino's, number two is 1900 Park Fair, and number three is Tusker House. At this point in time, that's subject to change, but I think those three, it's a pretty hefty gap between those three and number four. And
yeah. I
usually
couldn't tell you what four is. I have no idea.
I mean it's a pretty big gap between whatever you would start to. I would probably say Akershus is number four, but like that's a conversation for a different day. But the reality is that for most families, Tusker House is the best character meal with Mickey. Period. And
Yeah,
it's because Topolino's at the Riviera is number one, it's really hard to get a reservation any like period. But number two, even if you can get a reservation, it's a pain to get there if you're not staying there. Or if you're not staying, on one of the resorts really close by. So if you're staying at the Polynesian, the Contemporary, Grand Floridian, any of the value resorts, Animal Kingdom, Coronado Springs, it's a pain to try and get to the Riviera. You basically need to Uber for that reservation. And most people don't want to
yeah,
spend that money to do that. So Tusker House ends up being the perfect way to supplement it because it's fairly easy to get. I think people are catching on that it's so good, but it starts out your morning at Animal Kingdom, and you get to have Mickey and friends in their safari outfits. It's cute. The food's solid. You can't beat it. So we've talked. You've got a one good table service there. That quick service is, in my opinion, I think it's the best in the theme parks at Walt Disney World, right? For in terms of
Yeah,
quick
yeah.
service, yeah, right. The one place that I like, but it's like we don't go as frequently because I feel like the menu is a little harder for kids. That Matt Richardson talks about all the time. That's his favorite is Yak and Yeti.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. That's our guy. That's Matt's favorite place.
Yeah. Do you? I mean, do you like Yak and Yeti?
I like the quick service. I've never sat down to eat there just because it I mean, it's not really for my kids. Now, if it was Kelly and I, or you and I, if we went out, I would definitely sit down to try it. Um, but no, I've gotten the quick service. I've gotten the chicken fried rice. I've gotten the spring rolls or the egg rolls they have there. I mean, it's solid.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of spots at Animal Kingdom, including Kusafiri that we talked about earlier with that breakfast sandwich, that you really need to look at the menus before you go on your vacation when you're thinking about your meals there. Because there's a lot of spots that you can kind of get stuck where if you've got picky eaters for kids, some of it may not be for them. There's usually always something that they can get that makes sense that'll fit a picky eater. But like a great example is Kusafiri. If you go to there for breakfast, my kids are like, like they don't want the jelly on the breakfast sandwich and things like that. They're just a little too picky for it. Um, so it can cause some problems. Like there's some different areas where you can get French fries that have different seasonings on them. That's another thing that like my kids won't eat that. They'll eat the regular
Yeah.
fries, but like all of the spices are a little bit too spicy for them. So the biggest recommendation that I can make is make sure you kind of map out where you're going to eat. Otherwise, you're going to end up stuck at Pizza Safari, which is like really, really, really crappy pizza. If anybody's been to Walt Disney World before, but not Animal Kingdom, it's the equivalent of the Pizza Rizzo pizza that they just got rid of at Muppet's Courtyard. It's like the
uh,
little
I-
tiny circle thing. You can't eat there, guys. Like,
One of the
um,
best snacks that I've gotten multiple times is that 8 spoons.
yeah, oh yeah,
They do mac and cheese, and a lot of times they used to do have a shrimp one. I know they do a pulled pork one with mac and cheese. And I'm a mac and cheese connoisseur, so I'm a big fan of it.
yeah.
And and they have plain.
Yeah, and like my ideal day is and this is part of the like the problem that we have when we really enjoy certain things at Disney. I feel like you start to like one certain meal or one certain snack, and then you stop trying other things because when you're hungry, you want to have the thing that's your favorite, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like I can't go there and not eat at Flame Tree Barbecue and get like the pulled pork French fries or whatever, or I can't go there and not get a coffee at Kusafiri. Like I have to get my certain things, otherwise it feels kind of like a failed trip to me. So like I don't have as many opportunities to branch out and try other things when I want to make sure that I'm, hitting my favorites or whatever.
Well,
So
and one thing we haven't talked about Satuli, which I mean it's a good option.
mhm,
We've never had it. It's a unique, and it's one of those that like. I mean, my kids love Chipotle, but they're the
yeah.
basic Chipotle eaters of all time. So like going over there and getting some sort of noodle bowl, and it's just not up their alley. But I would go if it's just me. But if with the kids, we're not going to go there.
That's where I've gone there a couple times by myself, and it's fine, it's solid, but I just keep going back to my favorites. Like those are the kinds of things that I'll try at once just because I know like Mike Rallman loves Satuli Canteen,
Oh
right?
yeah,
So you hear people talk about it online enough in the Disney community, and you're like, all right, I'll give it a shot. But it's just not for me. And I feel the same way about Yak and Yeti, right? Matt talks about it a lot. He absolutely loves it. And Matt, I would say, has a much better palate, I think, from being friends with him than I do, because he has much more experience with different varieties of restaurants and different places in the world than I do personally. So, like, if you're a foodie, I think
Yeah,
it's
yeah, he
much better that
does.
you. You're right. It's much better that you trust someone like Matt Richardson as a foodie than me. But if you've got like kids that are picky eaters, that kind of thing, I think Chip and I are your best reference because we're about to have 10 kids combined that go to
Yeah, we are.
Disney. So like who gets it more than we do on that front. But so I guess let's talk about that little like 3-2-1 method in terms of priorities that we talk about on this show pretty frequently. If you've got 3 rides, 2 character meets or shows, and 1 really good sit down meal for you with your kids, what is your plan for the day in terms of those priorities, Chip? What would you pick as your like Chip's picks?
So we're gonna do Avatar, Flight of Passage, um, Everest, and the Safari. And Everest could change. Like it's one of those that it could change. Maybe it's Indiana Jones if my kids want to get into that. My older kids like it, but the younger ones don't always. So that's kind of where we're at sometimes. Um, so that's my 3. My 2 characters. We're probably gonna do the loop for Chip and Dale and see all 4. So we'll see
Mhm.
Chip and Dale, Daisy, and Donald. And we don't see. I've never seen Mickey in a safari. I'm not gonna lie to you, other than at Tusker House. Um, so we're probably gonna go see Doug and Doug and Russell. I have no idea why. I just Doug cracks me up. It's a dog. I don't know why. It's just
Yeah. What would be your one meal?
oh, we're going to Tusker House.
Yeah, so then you don't need to go to Mickey and Minnie, and that's the reason why. Number one, that character meet typically has a longer line, which
Yeah.
I think is kind of odd. But you knock out 4 of the characters if you go to Tusker House, right,
Yeah.
as your meal. And one other thing that I'll mention in terms of meals is don't go to Rainforest Cafe. I think that's a given for most people, but like that's right there at the entrance. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Okay.
I've eaten there
Um,
actually more times. I've eaten there twice, but it was both on trips that I didn't pay for it. So it is what
Yeah,
it
I
is.
mean, like if you're going to Rainforest Cafe, you're doing something wrong, in my opinion. I don't say that very lightly, but like, don't eat at Rainforest Cafe, please. If you listen to nothing else on this episode, just please don't go there. For me, I'm going to start in reverse. I would start with our one meal is going to be Tusker House for breakfast, and that's because we're going to knock out those characters also. And then for our 2 character meets, we're going to do Chip and Dale in their dinosaur uniform, and then we would do the Lion King show as the second, character or show experience.
Uh,
We would do the Lion King show as a priority, and then our 3 rides are going to be Flight of Passage, the Safari, and Everest. If it's really really hot and like it's not going to irritate my wife that we're all getting wet, Cali River Rapids is like right up there. That ride is a lot of fun, but you do get pretty wet, and so to me, you've got to weigh like people getting irritated that they're walking around wet for a little while and like how hot and sticky and gross is it with like wanting to do that ride.
so
But
Matt, I have a caveat on that. My wife was so mad at me on our trip last summer that we did not do River Rapids. She's like, "That's the one thing I've had in my childhood is doing one of those big flume rides, and you haven't done it with our kids." And she still holds it to me to this day. Like, why are we not doing that?
I mean, like you should do it, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I think there's a point in time where like everybody's excited to do a water ride, like, and that happens at Tiana's too. But there's also a point in time where you're like everybody's a little bit on edge and you have to read the room like I, I'm not we're not going to be walking around in wet shoes when the 3-year-old has been having tantrums all day kind of thing.
For
Like
sure.
you have to use your dad intuition, which some of us lack, or your motherly intuition, and kind of figure it out, whether or not you're going to do that ride. And that's why honestly it kind of falls off for us, more frequently. um, but now I want to answer some of the most frequent listener questions that we get about visits to Animal Kingdom. So, Chip, I think we've talked a lot about the rope drop, Flight or Passage, or Kilimanjaro Safaris. I don't think that when people say, should I rope drop one or the other, I don't think you can go wrong with either one. To me, it's just, do you want to save money and not buy the individual lightning lane on Flight of Passage? If you want
Well,
to save the money, then you go there, right?
I will say one of the things that the safaris doesn't always open right at rope drop either. Um,
Correct.
if you're in early morning hours, it doesn't open at 7:30. It'll open at like 8:30 or something like
Yeah.
that.
That is important to keep in mind is that you want to make sure that you're going and like I guess, the crowds all go the same way too. Like, which is
Yep.
why I don't think that it's like the end of the world if you don't rope drop Animal Kingdom. Like if you're buying the individual lightning lane for Flight of Passage and you're buying multipass, you're going to be able to ride everything without rope dropping that part. So to me, it's like one of those parks where you get up and you go whenever your kids are ready and you think less about, trying to maximize your time because you're going to get it all done in my opinion. Everything that you want to get done. Uh,
With that, it's also a humid park.
oh yeah.
Um, and it's a different heat, and I have no idea reason why. You're 5 miles away from Magic Kingdom. It's just a different heat.
Yeah.
Um, it
I
might
I
be the
mean, I would agree with
vegetation.
that. Yeah. I don't know what it is, but I always do kind of feel like stickier there.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it, but and I'm sure there's not really any actual reality to it. It's just
No.
how you feel. One of the other questions that we get a lot is whether or not Festival of the Lion King is worth it. Like, absolutely. A lot of these things are, if we're doing a half day, like, what are we cutting? Kind of questions. And I think people don't realize like how much you can get done in a half day at that park, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're only going from like 8 in the morning until 1 in the afternoon, you're gonna ride most of the rides and be able to do at least one of the shows, right?
Man, when we went this past or last summer, we did Navi, Flight of Passage, Everest, the Safari, and a show. And we caught her. That's when Tiana's was doing the. I got a Tiana's thing. Um, and we were at Magic Kingdom by 11:30.
Yeah, 100%. A lot of people ask, is Expedition Everest too scary for kids? Chip, what is your like method for determining whether or not you're going to let a kid ride a ride at Disney for the first time?
You want to try
That's fair. That's fair.
it?
I think like your kid's comfortability level is obviously paramount. Like if they've done Slinky Dog Dash and they really enjoyed it, to me, then moving up to Everest is like a good next step. It's very similar to Big Thunder Mountain when that ride's open, if you're familiar with that. But the one recommendation I make to people that are like going into it blind, have never been to a theme park before, is watch a ride through without your kids on YouTube. Like,
Yeah.
if you're okay with it being a spoiler for yourself, just go and watch the POV ride through on YouTube and experience the ride and be like, all right, my kid will be able to handle this. Or maybe, we'll wait and see how they do on some of the other attractions first. But that's part of the reason why, like, when you're going with little kids for the first time, I like to encourage people to go to Hollywood Studios first
Yeah.
because that intro roller coaster is Slinky Dog Dash. Like you're going to be able to decide for the rest of the trip, the majority of the time, what you're riding based on Slinky Dog Dash and how that
Well,
experience goes.
and there's really you can see this one scary part. There's only one other scary part I would say in Everest, and it's just dark in there, and you're not going the normal direction.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. But other than that, you just see the drop, and it's a very smooth coaster. It's really smooth.
Yeah. People see the lift hill, and I think it kind of panics kids a little bit. So that to me is like when you go, you're going to be able to get a vibe for it really quickly as a parent. And you're going to know whether or not they like it. I don't think that it's too scary. I think my kids rode it. Both of them rode it when they were either 4 or just turned 5. So like I think that's a good age. And obviously like our kids had gone on roller coasters a lot at that point. So, there was some buildup. You're not just like that's your first roller coaster that you're ever experiencing kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I don't think that that should discourage you from doing that either. But I think when people ask, like going back to the last question, what's the first thing that you cut when you're going to Animal Kingdom? To me, it's dining. Would you agree with that?
Ooh.
Like if you're going from 8 to
Yeah.
1,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm probably
Probably.
cutting Tusker House to maximize the ride time.
You're probably not wrong there. Because we love that breakfast sandwich. Probably, yeah, we could cut it. Um, and we're a big Boma family, so that would be
Yeah.
another thing. If we'd rather go to Boma, but Yeah, Tusker. I mean, we've done it once. I would do it again. It's just timing wise, it's not always great. I want to do it like at dinner and close the park out being dark. Like that's what I want to get the last reservation sometime and then take pictures of
Yeah.
the tree of life when it's black when it's dark out.
Yeah. And so, I mean, to me, I think that that's just anytime you're like having a short time at a theme park, I think it's fair to like cut back your table service dining so that you're not spending as much time sitting down for a meal. If you only had one day where you're going to Animal Kingdom, like I don't envision anybody ever going there for 2 days. Like I could by myself on a trip with Park Hopper, where like I'm spending like 2 mornings there, like one day in the morning and another day in the evening. But you really can, if you prioritize the way that we've talked about on this show, you can really get most everything done that you'd want to in one full day or even a little bit less. That, and again, that's not to say that it's not a full day park because I think it is. You just have to like, there's all kinds of like side quests you can go on at Animal Kingdom to really enjoy it. Is my opinion on it. Chip. So there you have it. That is our perfect 1 day itinerary for Disney's Animal Kingdom, from rope dropping, flight of passage, or the safari to enjoying the magic of Pandora at night. This plan gives you the best balance of attractions, animals, relaxation. We would love to hear your thoughts. What are your must do things at Animal Kingdom? Drop us a message on Instagram or a comment on YouTube, or share with us on Facebook. And if you're planning a Disney vacation, as always, I would love to help you. My services are completely free. I will handle all of your Lightning Lane Multipass, your dining reservations, your resorts, your questions, all of that stuff at no cost to you. And it's a great way to help support the podcast and Adventures of a Disney Dad. We've got great articles on the blog about all the characters you can meet, all the things you should prioritize at Animal Kingdom. It's all there. So definitely check that out. And thank you, as always, for listening. Chip and I look forward to being in your ears or on your TV screens again real soon. So we will see you in the parks.